Evening, folks. Hope you all had a good work week. It's a pretty short week for me. I took some time off to hang out with the MLG Panda, who unfortunately had a really busy day today, so she's not going to be joining me for the stream tonight. But I am still excited for the stream because we are going to be getting into one of my favorite topics in all of video gaming, and that is horror games. Now, horror and video games have always had a really interesting relationship, and the reason for that is in the early days of the industry, horror games didn't really exist. You had a couple of games here and there that did try to create the experience you'd see in like a Friday the 13th or a Halloween film, but very few games were actually able to pull it off. And because of how Nintendo had to market the NES in order to get it into the American markets, for the better part of the late 80s and the early 90s, the perception of video games was that they were intended for kids and only for kids, and that was reflected in the marketing as well. In fact, when the Genesis showed up and started pushing games with a more mature slant, they actually faced backlash from it. It wasn't until the 32-bit era with the PlayStation and stuff that horror games started to find their stride. Horror games are just a lot of fun to talk about because there's a lot of interesting history behind it. So what I decided to do for the spooky season this year is to do a little history of horror series. So for the next 2 months, we're going to be looking at strictly horror games, and how it's going to work is every week I'm going to pick a game from a different generation, and I'm going to talk about its impact, its legacy, all that fun stuff. So we're going to start with I guess we could say the Atari era and then the NES era tonight. So we do have a double header. We have Sweet Home. But before we get into that, I first want to play what I think is probably the first horror video game, and that's 3D Monster Maze. This game was released in, when was this game released? 1981, so that's pre the 1983 video game crash, and it was released for the ZX81 gaming system, which was a home computer in European markets. The game was intended as a tool to help teach decision making, when the decision making was just making your way through a maze and trying to find your way to the end. But the game's producer felt that it was boring, so in order to liven the game up, he added a monster into the game that would hunt you through the maze as you're playing. And though I don't think he intended for it to be, he inadvertently created what a lot of people consider the first horror game. Or people consider the first horror game. I consider it the first horror game, but the only reason I consider it the first horror game is because it's the one that the gaming historian, Norman, I think his name is, directed me to, way back in the day when he did a video on the genre. This is a game I've always had a weird fascination with it. I've never played it before, but I've always at least wanted to give it a try. But given that games from this age tend to be, very rudimentary, very basic, I guess you could even say primitive, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it, which is why this video is going to become a double header. But I do want to cover all the horror games, so we're going to start with 3D Monster Maze, where I think it all began. And I did find a website where we can actually play it. You're going to have to give it a second. It does take a little bit to load here. Anyone there? Yeah? Well, press something then. Anyone know which button is something then? Guess I'll push that button. Roll up, see the amazing Tyrannosaurus Rex, king of the dinosaurs in his lair, perfectly preserved in silicon since prehistoric times. He is brought to you for your entertainment and exhilaration. If you dare enter his lair, you do so at your own risk. The management accepts no responsibilities for the mental health safety of the adventurer. Enters his realm. I can't keep up with that. I'm not a very good reader, guys. Anyway, so I looked up how to play this. I want to remind myself the controls, though. Let's see, instructions. So S. Okay, I probably wasn't supposed to push that button, so... The things I do to show you guys games I'm interested in. I had to jump through some hoops to get Sweet Home working as well. I'm not reading all that again. Or I guess I have to. And already this is giving me some really creepy vibes too, because that stupid clown. If there's one thing I've learned in my 29 years on this planet, it's never trust a clown. Okay, so list. Only controls required are 5, turn left. Okay. Alright, I'm waiting for you to get to the end. I really don't feel like reading this. It's a very simple game. It's basically just a game of keep away. Guess we're getting started. Okay, so this is 3D Monster Maze. So it's not really 3D, it's more like 2D graphics drawn to give the illusion of 2D. And you might be thinking I need to get a move on, but how it works is Rex doesn't start moving until you do. So I'm gonna go ahead and get going. See, he is hunting for you. Rex lies in wait, he is hunting for you. Rex has seen you. Oh crap, it's a dead end. Okay, did he see me? Okay. Guess I gave him the slip. Where is he? Yeah, so there's no sound in this game, which might seem a little lame because oh crap, he see me. The lack of sound here, oh crap. I really have no idea what I'm doing. Oh, there he is. And I'm dead. Like just for a few seconds and that already has my heart pounding a little bit. Yeah, it doesn't have any sound effects and the graphics are really primitive, but as you just make your way through the maze, you see the text along the screen. It does creep you out a little bit, which is surprising for a game this old. I'm kind of disappointed that MLG Panda couldn't join me tonight because I thought it would be funny to have her play this and see what happens. But yeah, that's 3D Monster Maze for you. Not a whole lot to it. Some people may say I should play more of it, but that's really what you would be looking at for the whole video if I were to play that. But I wanted to cover it because it really is the first horror game when you think about it. I mean, it has, when I think of survival horror, there are 3 things I usually look for, and one of the big things is exploration in it. And like this game is nothing but exploration. Explore the maze, trying to find your way out while trying to avoid the instant death jaws of the Tyrannosaurus Rex. And I think a lot of modern gamers can think of a few games that are like that. Something like Slender, a couple of enemies of Resident Evil, Nemesis, Mr. X. I mean, the game does have an influence, even if a lot of people aren't aware of it. So it's a relic of game design. It's a dinosaur, if you will, but it is interesting to look at, which is why I wanted to cover. Alright, I've screwed around with this. Let's get to what you guys probably came to see in that Sweet Home. Alright, start the recording. And I am going to have to use an emulator for this. This might sound a little crazy, but I actually do have a physical cards of Sweet Home. My original intention was to play it this way, but unfortunately I don't have the equipment to, get footage into the capture software off of my NES. So we're going to have to use an emulator if we're going to want to play it. Before I get into this, I do want to give some history on Sweet Home though. So a lot to unpack about Sweet Home. For starters, a lot of people don't realize this, but this is actually a licensed game. It's based on a 1989 film of the same name called Sweet Home, which is actually what you're seeing right now. Fun fact about Sweet Home, this film never got a release here in America, and because of that, you can watch the whole film on YouTube free of charge without violating any kind of laws or anything like that. It's not a great movie, I would say. There are some good things about it. The characters are actually really fun, and there are some really good special effects for the time. But it is your basic haunted house scenario. As the film was being made, they decided they wanted to do an NES game for reasons that I can't fathom because of all the games to make an NES game out of. Why Sweet Home of all things? I mean, they did make a lot of games for the NES based off of movies at the time, but a random horror movie like this just seemed like an odd choice. But it got to the point where the game was more well known than the film, which I think should speak to its quality. And it's famous for two more reasons. First of all, it was never localized. This game is very graphic by the standards of the NES. So as Uncle Derek put it, the localizers just took one look at it and said, "Are you kidding?" So because of that, it's really popular with importers and people looking for reproduction cartridges. And the other reason it's significant is because it sort of laid the foundation for Resident Evil, which is the game that put horror into the pop culture. Originally, Resident Evil did start as a 3D remake of Sweet Home, but when they realized they couldn't get the license to use the Sweet Home name, they just decided to do an original beast. So that actually makes Sweet Home a very significant game, not just for the NES, but gaming in general. In a lot of ways, this is the granddaddy of all survival horror games. But anyway, enough jibber jabber. I've talked enough. Let's get to it. And recording. I am recording. Let's go ahead and play. And I really hope the music here doesn't make your eardrums bleed, because it was really loud when I was doing the sound test recently. Change name. So I've heard a lot of people say that when they play this game, they like to change the names of the characters to something a bit more familiar. And there's a reason for that I'll get into later, but because I don't want to reveal too much about myself, and also I'm not sadistic, I'm not going to do that, so I'm just going to leave the names as is. An investigation team searches for Mamiya Ichiro's fresco, but it lies within the haunted Mamiya Manor. This isn't going to be good. Do a quick sound check. Lies within the haunted Mamiya Manor. Let's go. Prep the camera. Good, we're all here. Somewhere in this mansion is Mamiya's fresco, I'm sure. The fresco used to be a special... Uh-oh. What the... Whoa! Well, that's not good. The exit! Oh. Fools! You have defiled my home, shall feel my wrath! What's going on? We have to escape. There has to be another exit. We better search for the mansion. We better search the mansion. Okay, let's see here. So, also remember we each have our own tools. Okay, so yeah, this setup probably feels familiar to a lot of fans of Resident Evil. So, like an isolated mansion full of monsters being trapped inside with a group of your compatriots. I mean, it's very similar to the first Resident Evil, isn't it? Alright, so in regards to controls, Sweet Home does take the form of a NES RPG, which is going to be a problem for some people because a lot of NES RPGs don't really hold up. A lot of them tend to be very grind happy, but we'll try to look past that here. Just movement here, so let's see. So you have 5 characters, each with now, in most RPGs, you tend to have class stats and different abilities depending on the character, the class, and stuff like that. But that's not how it works in Sweet Home. All the characters are essentially the same, but where they differ is in their special items. So let's take a look. So Costco has a lighter, which is good for burning certain objects. It makes for a good attack, very useful. Akio has the first aid kit, which is used to heal stat buffs. Asuka has a vacuum, which is needed to clear certain debris, as well as reveal frescoes, which is how you sort of progress the story forward. Taro here has the camera, which is used for photographing frescoes. And last but not least, Emmy has the key, which is needed to unlock certain doors. You know, now that I think about it, it actually is interesting coming back to this game now that I've actually watched the movie. Because looking at these character sprites, I actually do recognize them. They do represent their film counterparts pretty well. Graphics in this game are really good by NES standards, and it actually is really cool that it's so graphic. It's funny for an NES game. Alright, so now we need to figure out the party system. So how it works in Sweet Home is rather than having all 5 characters in your party at once, you can only have 3, and you may have noticed we have 5 characters here. So regardless of what you do, 2 characters are going to have to travel alone. So you really got to think about who you want with who. So how should I do this? I think I'll have my character stick with this guy. Wait. Yes, team up. See, now they follow each other. Now I'm going to switch to a different character. So we'll switch to Taro. And I'll keep these 3 together because frescoes tend to be hidden behind locked doors, and in order to take a picture of them, you need the vacuum, so keeping those 3 together just kind of makes sense. Though I could be wrong, and I really hope I'm not wrong. Alright, let's get a move on. I'm sure you guys are getting tired of me talking. Okay. Maybe I gotta do this. See, I just cleared some debris there. Yep. And also for the record, I'm not too knowledgeable with RPGs, so I'm openly going to admit that I do not know what I'm doing here. This place is huge. that left room. Yeah, let's check it out. Oh, looks like we got some weapons here. And a fresco right away. So, let's take a picture of that. Who's got the camera? Okay, I guess I gotta use the vacuum first. Huh. I guess this isn't a fresco. What's this? A letter. Welcome to my home. Photograph my frescoes. Therefore lies a clue to the way out. It's from Ichiro, and that must be the fresco. Okay, so... Ah, there we go. A fresco. But how to preserve it? Well, with a camera, duh. Letters appear. My 3 frescoes will solve a puzzle. So I gotta find 3 of these things, okay. Okay, so item. So the camera doubles as a weapon, so I'm gonna give... Oh, that's... Dadgummit. Fruit. How do I pick something up? Yeah, can you tell I don't really know what I'm doing with NES RPGs? Ah, there we go. What we got here? Oh, a tonic. That's a health potion. And we'll give this to Emmy. Alright, let's see what's next. Yeah, you can see some graphical glitches there. It's probably on account of the emulator. That tends to happen from time to time. Now that looks familiar, doesn't it? It's just like the loading screen in the Resident Evil game. That's really cool. Alright, let's see here. A note! Kenji! The frescoes contain clues. I think they're grounded by... grouped by date? Huh. I wonder if that's oh, I gotta avoid these things. Ah! Leave me alone! Stupid ghost. Up. An evil doll, okay. That's not terribly scary. Okay, so I used call, which allows you to bring the other party in to join the fight. So now we're all gonna kick some butt. Okay, so I guess we can't go that way. So that's a trick I learned watching a Boulder Punches video on this game. If you get into a random encounter, it's best to call for the other party. That way you can help each other out and keep the group together as well. So that's a bit of smart design there. Let's see. Man, that music is grating on my ears. I mean, it's good by the standards of NES, but that's just really loud. And I can't close this out without messing it up, so just gonna deal with it for now. And I didn't even see what that said, so what did it say? And note, Takashi, the next fresco is across and on the left, but be careful. So there are others like us. Frightening. Yeah. Man, I wish I could just play this off my NES. Can I just walk over this? Huh, that's a random thing to say. Maybe I do gotta go through here. Maybe with the lighter. There we go. Another random encounter. Alright, guys. Alright, that's dealt with. You really gotta avoid those things, though. As to why? Well, those are spirits. And if they run into you, they'll take one of your teammates and plant them somewhere else, which can really screw you up, because you really don't want anyone to end up alone in this game. So can I take this? Okay, so no. Oh, I guess I can. I'll get the hang of this, guys. I apologize. And we got ourselves a weapon here. Better get one for the medic. Ah. I guess I gotta walk around all that. Another random encounter. A wisp. It's like a fire one too. I know this word's call and attack. I'm actually doing a lot better than I thought I would. I figured I would have died by now. Okay, so let's see here. Probably use a lighter here. Maybe the camera flash? What the? I see. Alright, so I'll let these guys take the lead then. Item. Wait. Wrong button. I need to read this. A note. One fell down, but was pulled up to safety. What does that mean? So, there are certain hazards in this game, like you'll have broken nails, sticky floors, chasms that you can fall into, stuff like that. And when a character gets stuck in one of these, their party members can pull them to safety, so that's what that's referring to. Alright, can I build a bridge over this? Let's see. Yeah, I can. Cool. This feels dangerous. Better team up for safety. What we got? Ah, another wisp. Nothing to worry about. And it looks like my party is, for the most part, in good shape. So it still has a leveling system like in any RPG. For those of you who don't know, how it works in most RPGs is that you have an XP meter, and once you have enough points, you'll level up, so your character gets stronger, they can take more health, and they can generally do more things. Now, that's an aspect I generally really hate about RPGs, because if there's one thing I hate more than anything, it's grinding. And a lot of people always say, well, that's just part of playing an RPG. I argue that's bad design, because what's the fun in hanging out in just one area waiting for your numbers to go up? I mean, at that point, you're just kind of going through the motions and not really completing the game because of your own merits. It's just a trial and patience. It's bad design. Fight me on that. Okay, so I'll give this to Emmy. And let's see, can I use wood here too? I don't have any more wood. Oh. See, that's what they're talking about earlier, but now I'm separated. Why am I separated? Oh, the wax candle. Now I get it. That's why I can't see. Okay, so party. Which one? Kazu. Alright. Switch back to Emmy so I can actually see what I'm doing. Okay, why can't I... Okay, so look in the inventory. How many boards do I have? I have 2 pieces of wood. Okay, I don't think I'm going to go any further here because like these wood planks are very flimsy. Let's see. It's not what I wanted to do. Team up. Alright, back the way we came then. Avoid the spirits, don't want to mess with them. Hey, what do we have here? I like the way the characters move in this game. It almost looks like they're frantically running away like in a cartoon. It's kind of cute. Which is funny considering the subject matter. Alright, so another aspect of Sweet Home that's really interesting is the level design. Unlike a lot of RPGs which had these great big sprawling open worlds, the level design in Sweet Home is a bit more, I want to say, isolated, as in the paths tend to loop around themselves, so as you go this way, you'll eventually end up back here. And again, that's something that's going to feel familiar to Resident Evil fans because the level design of the Spencer Mission is a lot like that. And what is this thing up here? Beeper. Your tools, your weapons. Fire, bugs, lights, bats. So that is a dismembered man right there. God, this game is awesome. Alright, let's see what's up ahead. Another doll. Alright, get at it, boys. Hopefully I can still make it across that wood plank. Ah, no! I can't reach them, crap. No! Ah, that was aggravating. Okay, gotta be more careful with that, I guess. What is this thing? A doll. Oh, might as well. It's just sitting there, I guess. Ooh, another weapon. Who doesn't have a weapon yet? I guess I'll give it a Taro. Worms! Okay, so... Call. Definitely gonna read some fire on this one. Really wish that would stop flickering like that. And he's poisoned. A lighter, that should make short work of him. Okay, so I need to switch to... I think it's a Kaido? Okay, so... Next time I get into a fight, I need to be sure to use a tonic. The random battles are sort of a problem, though. If you've ever played a Resident Evil game, you know that resource management is key. And because of that, enemy encounters are designed so that you're able to pick your battles. So, let's say you come across a zombie in a big open room. Zombies are slow moving, so you can work your way around him. There's no need to use your ammo on that. But you come to one in a narrow hallway, then all of a sudden you have no choice but to take him out. But in Sweet Home, which still has elements of survival in it, there's only so many health items and stuff to keep you alive. Having random battles is kind of a poor choice because now you have no choice but to fight enemies. So it's a game where you're supposed to conserve your resources, but you don't have the means to really choose your battles to conserve them. So sort of mismatched design, I'd say. Use the lighter again. Have the other team bring up the rear. Ah, man. Meant to use the lighter. I don't know why I did that. I remember this from the movie too, like the ghost could create these weird walls of darkness, and if you try to touch it, it electrocutes you, and if you try to force your way through it, it completely melts you. That was actually a really cool effect in the movie, I gotta say. Hey, cool, another fresco. But I need the vacuum to get through here, so... hand it off to the next team. I think it's Ahsoka who has the vacuum. And we got ourselves another tonic here. That'll be useful. Do I have a weapon? Oh, I need to look at it. A fresco. How to preserve it. It's covered in dust, so we need to use the vacuum. It is cleaned. That's also something from the movie. There's a scene where they clean the fresco off, which is really neat. It's also a horrifying scene because it looks like this, it's real beautifully rendered, very serene. But then as more dust comes away, the whole tone of the fresco starts to change. You see demonic-looking creatures, this fiery furnace, and the people in the film are so confused. Like, why do the different parts of this painting look so different? And there is a reason as to why that is in the movie, and as an artist myself, it actually is really haunting. The idea that the story of a painting can be changed by like just a sudden impact of trauma. That's just a really compelling concept. Look at me getting all philosophical. Letters appeared. One needs a mallet to remove a bowler. Alright. And I'm going to take this board. Guess I can't talk to that thing. Alright, got another fresco. A light fell. Left. Ah, good. So random traps like that'll happen. You just gotta decide how you want to get out of the way. Now I'm outside. Note. Takashi, the third fresco, upstairs. These notes, that's something else that's from Resident Evil 2. Like, you will find notes in the Spencer Mansion that let you know the messed up history of it all. Like, I always called that environmental storytelling, where the story of the game isn't necessarily the development of the characters, but more them discovering the world around them and the story that tells. Something else that was pioneered in Sweet Home, that's something. What do we got now? Ah, more worms. Alright. Okay, so tool, no. Attack. Attack. Lighter. I'm surprised. I'm doing a lot better than I thought I would. Okay, so we need the Master of Unlocking, and no, I'm not talking about Jill Valentine. Let's see if I can get through here. Okay, so again with the random battles, that's something else I don't like in RPGs. Okay, I guess they'd all just die real easily now. Okay, so no, I need to use an item, the key. Don't get scared now. Ooh, that's ominous. What is this? In blood. Avoid the shadows. Ooh, that's spooky. I better heed that. now. Another Fire Wisp. I have a feeling I'm not going to get to see any of the graphic stuff tonight. I'm going to bring the other party in here just to be on the safe side. More worms. Party, switch to Taro. Ah, wrong way. So confusing. Now where are we? See, here's an example of that loop and level design, how it comes back around to where it was earlier. And now I can do this, and I'll have a easier way to get through here. A shortcut. I am getting really annoyed with the random battles. Alright, moving on. Moving right along. Moving right along. I was watching Muppet Show last week. Good stuff. Why am I talking about the Muppets when I'm playing a horror game? I must be starting to get bored. Okay, did that not work? Yeah. Alright, moving on. It's like a Silent Hill game. Every door is freaking locked. Dining room, neat. Oh, bats. These enemies. Ah, look out! Right. Ah. That was close. And I'll leave this waxy for the other group. Ah. Why is it there are so many NES games where enemies are bats? Alright, so I want the camera for this one, so I'm gonna call him in. What did that say? Attack, attack. Taro has the flash camera, so we'll use that. 14 damage, that's what we like. I'm glad I called the other team in here. Anyone who doesn't have a weapon yet. They all have weapons, so we're gonna switch to the other team. Vacuum. Move right along. Sometimes the skeletons will get up and talk to you. Now what? Ah! Zombie! I forgot to call for help. Out of my way. Ah! Alright guys, let him have it. Yeah, the enemies actually don't do a whole lot of damage to you. They can actually take a good deal of punishment, so... maybe that's to balance out the fact that there's so few healing items in the game. Now, some of you might be wondering, why is it such a big deal if one of your character dies? Ah, that's not good. We're gonna try Prey, see what happens. Yeah, this zombie is tough. Not exactly sure what the prey function does. I better use the tonic. Let's try praying again. Try the lighter, see what happens. Oh, it restores life. No. Well, I showed that zombie who's boss. What we got here? Look. A note. Shogo. To go beyond, turn the generator on first. Oh, there must be a generator nearby. It is kind of nice that your characters actually react to the stuff they find. That was one of the things that always bugged me about the Resident Evil games. Your characters would read one of those notes, they discover some kind of bombshell, but then they don't react to it. Old. Probably don't want that. I do want that tonic though. Again with the random attack. Another zombie, I'm screwed. Okay, so if a character prays, they do more cause the characters to do more damage. That makes sense. Praying that they survive the encounter. And I forgot that one of my characters has a status effect right now. At least I think that's why the screen is turning like that. Wait, I'm down a character. What's going on here? That was weird. Oh, character's getting stunned. Come on now. Alright, let's head out this, see what we got here. Use the wood. And that's actually 9 o'clock. We're gonna call it for the night. We're gonna turn this off so I can speak a bit more clearly. Alright, so Sweet Home. I think I may actually have to play this whole game again because I'm actually getting into it a lot more than I thought I would. I did play this game once before, way back in the day, back when, you know, I didn't know a whole lot about game design. But playing it now with a better understanding of the characters, the call function, and also the trick, if you get all 5 characters into one battle screen and then they use a tonic, they all get healed, which is very useful. It was actually holding up really well. I was able to figure out a good chunk of it out on my own too, pretty well too, so yeah, I may have to replay this and give my full thoughts on it again. Would I recommend this to the modern gamer? Maybe. Like, if you're a fan of NES RPGs, this is definitely worth checking out because it is just such a fascinating piece of video game history. Like, there is nothing else like this on the NES, nothing like this on the NES, SNES. It's different from Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, even Earthbound and stuff like that. It just stands out so much. So, yeah, if you love those kind of games, definitely boot up an emulator, get yourself a reproduction cartridge because it is a piece of video game history that is worth revisiting. And again, it is important in our horror retrospective because this did lay the foundation for what would ultimately become Resident Evil. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's content. If you want to see more, please like and subscribe. I do these streams every week. Have a good work week and take care.